Welcome to the Show School Board meeting for December. Tonight, Pam Lazardi and John Larson will be joining us by telephone. Can you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Pierce will be doing the invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here this day under these favorable circumstances. We pray that the things that are discussed here this evening will be pleasing unto thee, and we will make decisions which will be best for the Show Unified School District. We're grateful for all that thou hast done for us. Help us to go forward with renewed determination to fulfill the missions that we're put on this earth to do. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Item 1.2, call to the audience.
Need to approve the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Need approval for the agenda.
I so move.
Second.
John, second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion, all those opposed? No. Motion carries. Item 1.2, call to the audience.
There were none.
Okay. Item 1.3, recognition of December legendary staff members. Just Mr. Hosley.
All right, we have some legendary staff members that we'd like to recognize, and so we'll invite their principals to come up. First, we'll invite Mrs. Jaramillo to come up and to recognize her staff member.
Go down, Joy. Go down. Him too.
Good.
Go down here.
I want to recognize Ida Carpenter. I was impressed the first time I watched Ida teach. She provides multiple entry points for students when she's teaching a concept. She knows how to break down lessons. She knows how to do all those things that skilled teachers need to know how to do. But the thing that impressed me most with Ida is the things that you can't teach. She is the person that really teaches from her heart. She is a true champion for children. She gladly takes any child in, and usually the ones with the most need are the ones that Ida gravitates towards. She not only cares about their education, but about their physical needs. She's been known to help our families who have been in need. When I ask others about Ida, the words they used were she's a gem, a team player, honest, teaches with so much skill and tons of heart. One of my most favorite people to work at. She honestly is the best teacher. These are all of her colleagues speaking about her. Her greatest concern is always for her children. And she truly is a beautiful example of a person, a teacher, and a friend. One of her colleagues said that she is the most Christ-like human being I know. She's thoughtful, she's intelligent. That's all what she does just in our community and at Whipple. She also supports the junior high as a volunteer sponsor for FBLA. I know she has chaperoned for the chief science officers as needed. When I look at her, I don't just see an effective teacher when I see Ida. I see someone who does things for the right reason. She never tries to shine the spotlight on herself. She just goes about her day making a difference in the world. And we should have more people like Ida.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carpenter, for all you do for our district. We'll now invite Dr. Dorsett to introduce her legendary staff member.
Now, if it's any consolation, I'm just as nervous as you. So I'd like to introduce Mrs. Lachelle Dobson. She's new to the junior high and to Show Low schools this year. She's a gem of a find. She's a wonderful teacher. She exhibits best practices in all educational and instructional methods. So I admire her very much as a teacher. As a matter of fact, in my last observation of her, she took a risk and did a crazy project. I don't think a new teacher would ever do something like this, but she did a mummification unit, and she was talking about ancient Egyptian civilizations, and she got these skeletons and actually wrapped them up like mummies and had little parts to their bodies of I don't know the vocabulary like you do, and so the kids had to go through unwrapping and exhuming the mummies and their parts and identifying the vocabulary and all the different things. And they were so invigorated. They were so alive in that classroom. So I commend you for getting the hands-on projects. And so she was actually nominated through our RISE recognition by students. An overwhelming amount of students have given you RISE recognition tickets. And so she was drawn for this last month, and I just was talking to a student today that said, what is this RISE recognition thing? And I said, well, you can nominate a teacher. And she said, well, I'm going to do that, okay? And I said, well, who are you going to nominate? Mrs. Dobson. Well, why? Because she's the best teacher in the whole wide world. And you know, if a kid says that, and many kids say that, you know you're doing something right. So above and beyond that, and I know that she's new here, but she's already stepped up to be on our Sunshine Committee, and she's done a lot to put those rays of hope and sunshine into our staff and planning for our parties and different things. So definitely big commitment for Mrs. Lachelle Dobson, and thank you for everything. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mrs. Dobson, for all you're doing for our district. Mr. Adams, would you like to come up and bring your legendary staff member, please?
I'm honored to be here this evening with Mr. Jerry Butler of Show Low High School. I've written, because I don't want to impromptu it, I want to know, I put thought into this, and I wanted to know exactly what I want to say tonight. And there's so much that could be said. But Mr. Butler is in his 12th year at Show Low High School, teaching graphic and web design and film and TV. And I just want to list a few of the recent student successes. And some of these are interesting. You'll see that this is high caliber stuff. This is big money stuff. A recent student of his graduated from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at ASU. And this student put in 2.5 hard years with the TV crews in Phoenix. After those 2.5 hard years of that legwork of his, he applied for his dream job, and he got it with ESPN as a sports leader. He's stationed in Connecticut, so there's one from Mr. Butler's. Another student is in their final year at Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at ASU. And this student is over the media relations for the ASU basketball team. Show Low right there at the top, all from Mr. Butler's class. And then there are numerous, but these are the ones in the last just couple of years. One more I want to talk about is in the ASU Graphic Design School. This student is in his final year, but during his years with ASU, he rose to the top and was sent on internships throughout the United States and outside the United States. Paid for as he did these internships because of his skills. All this starting from Mr. Butler's class. There are many others, but these are a few of the examples. Mr. Butler's high school students consistently score in the high 80s and 90% on the state competency exams. The state average is 72. So his students are way up there. Most of you will recognize, though, most people listening and those here tonight will recognize Mr. Butler's students' work. If you've ever watched Game of the Week, which we all like to watch Game of the Week or listen to it. Mr. Butler's kids are the sports media production crew for all Game of the Weeks in the White Mountains, not just Show Lows. Any Game of the Week, there's the sports production crew, all the filming, all the legwork that's going in on that, his students are running. They're not just there, they're running it. They're running the whole show. And you can view these games on iTalk 106.7, or you can go to YouTube. They transfer these over to YouTube. Some of these productions have audiences of over 2,100 viewers currently. Recently, Mayor Seymour honored Mr. Butler's students for their role in a media production of significant community importance, and distinctly wrote Mr. Butler a letter of thank you for his recognition and his students' work in that great community service. So, Mr. Butler, thank you. You continually inspire and challenge Show Low High School students' minds. I appreciate all Mr. Butler does. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Wonderful work. Thank you. Mrs. Ramsey?
I would like to introduce Linden's legendary staff member, Mrs. Vicki Sloan. She is one of our first grade teachers. She has been here in the White Mountains since 1985, and she has taught for the Show Low School District now for 23 years. I have a little snippet of an email that I received from one of my staff members about Vicki, just to show how wonderful she is and the amount of time and energy that she puts into her class and the help that she gives to the other staff members. She said, not only does she help all of us new teachers, she is also the coordinator of the tutoring program, manages the Christmas program, on top of the Thanksgiving production, which she did with her class. As though that wasn't enough, when I got locked out of my classroom on a Sunday because a dog was perched outside my door for 2 hours, she came to my rescue, procured the dog, called the shelter, and kept the dog overnight until the owner could pick it up. If that wasn't enough, she knew how to take care of a fire emergency when the fire alarm went off again on a Sunday. That on top of making fresh bread for her students, she helps new teachers and goes way, way beyond teacher expectations. Mrs. Sloan is my hero, and she definitely is a hero at our school. She is wonderful. She works so hard and makes learning fun for all of her students, and we love having Mrs. Sloan at Linden.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, can be a first grader. Help in your class, right?
Oh, I'm just kidding. Vicki,
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
Thank you, Mrs. Sloan. Mr. Muzzy, if you wouldn't mind coming up and bringing up your legendary staff member.
Well, hello. First, I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity and this platform to recognize the legendary staff members that we have. Brett Hardy is the day custodian at Whipple / superhero. He really goes above and beyond daily to perform the duties of his job. He's been chosen to receive this award because I believe that he exemplifies the qualities and attitude that make Show Low the greatest school district in the state. Brett shows dedication. He tirelessly and competently does all that is required and much, much more to provide Whipple with the safe, clean, and pleasant atmosphere. Brett's always willing to help. He, at a moment's notice, Brett is always there with a helping hand and the knowledge required to complete anything that we ask him to do. Things that are way outside of his job description, he takes those tasks and runs with them and completes them in a and a great man, and I really appreciate that. And he's motivated to be the best. Brett's always trying to see how to do things better, faster, and more efficiently. And he's consistently thinking about ways that we can be better, we can save money, and just how we can, use the resources that we have the best way possible. The short time that I've known Brett, he's impressed me. I see him to be a great asset to the school district, and he's a kind, friendly, and exceptional person. And I see him to be so much more than he's asked to be. And for these reasons, along with many, many more, Brett Hardy is truly a legendary staff member.
Item 1.4, recognition of junior high October Courageous Cougars with Character. Mr. Housley. And Mr. Arcette.
Alrighty, so I actually have one of my characters with me here today. I'm pretty excited about that. So for October, our trait was integrity, and the teachers nominated students. So I'd like to list out those students and then introduce one of them. That's awfully special to the junior high. So for October in integrity, Kyler Owens, Lane Denson, Tyler Davis, Aspen Smith, Branham Carpenter, who's right here, who not only is a courageous cougar with character of integrity, but also serves as our chief science officer for our school and our region. So he's a cool kid to have around for sure. And we have JC Perkins, Lee Kaysen, Andrew Tipton, Melanie Gardner, Corinne Collins, Brooklyn Lee, and Michaela Anderson. So all these folks went out to pizza with us and we celebrated their accomplishments, and I really appreciate the great character that they lead the school with. So thank you.
Congratulations, Brandon.
You want to say anything?
I have no words that I can think of.
Okay, all right. Well, congratulations.
Item 1.5, superintendent report. Mr. Housley.
I just want to report on a couple of things. First off, we have some fabulous staff, as you can see in the words that were given by their department heads. This is just a few of our legendary staff, and we had the opportunity on Tuesday and Thursday of this week to, as an administrative team, go into every classroom in the district. And we saw some phenomenal things happening in the classrooms, and we're going to take that information that we got from those classrooms and use it to continue to help show those schools grow. But it was really exciting to be in those classrooms and to see the great things that were spoken of tonight and by our teachers and staff. So we wrapped that up today. Pam wanted me to report back on the art. We had a donation several months back on some kilns and other things, and those kilns had to be rewired and some things done to our art room to make those work. We've currently gotten a more reasonable bid than we've received in the past, significantly less, about half of the cost, which is good. And right now we're working on some funding sources. We have some donations that are coming in from a source we didn't realize that was going to be able to donate, and they're going to be able to do that. And then also using some other funds. So that project is moving forward, and things look like it's going good as far as that's concerned. So that's all I have to report this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Housley.
You're welcome.
Okay. Item 1.6, future board agenda items. Pam or John, do you have any?
I do not. My only additional one, I guess, would be we were supposed to have an update on softball prior to the season, I think. Looking back at my notes, but that's the only item I have.
Okay, thank you. You can do that.
Yeah, and the intention would be to have that on January's board meeting.
Fantastic.
Item 2.1, approval of overnight and out-of-state travel.
There's a couple items listed here for overnight and or out-of-state travel. Mr. Adam recommends the approval of the high school ski club under the leadership of Nikki Muswerall to go to Purgatory, Colorado on February 2nd through the 4th of 2017. About 25 skiers and 2 chaperones. Parents, tax credits, and other fundraising will pay for the event. Also, Mr. Adams is recommending that the high school band members with Mr. Pratt travel to the U of A in Tucson on January 7th through the 9th to participate in the American Southwest Honor Band. I would recommend that we approve these travel requests as presented.
I so move.
I make a motion to approve travel request as presented.
I second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2.2, approval of using research-based second step curriculum in select classes at the junior high.
Part of the Safe Schools grant requirement is to provide different curriculum and things to assist in providing a safe environment in our schools. Dr. Dorsett is requesting the approval of the research-based curriculum called Second Step as part of our Safe Schools as a Tier 1 social emotional program in selected classes for behavior interventions for a select group of students. And I would recommend that we approve Second Step curriculum at the junior high as presented.
Dr. Dorsett, did you want to share anything about the program?
So I have a couple of handouts about the curriculum itself. I can give those.
Thank you.
So the curriculum will be for grades 6th through 8th. What we are planning is having small group behavioral interventions. So if we identify, say, a bullying issue, there's a bullying prevention portion of this curriculum that we can work with a small group to deal with recognizing bullying and then being a good bystander as well, being able to report. So the curriculum goes over empathy and communication, bullying prevention, emotion management, problem solving, and substance abuse prevention. Each grade builds on the next grade. So what we would like to do is be able to have this curriculum available for interventions for small groups. We'd also like to have a course that integrates some of these parts of this curriculum, of course, through parent approval, and as well as organization skills and other skills that will help kids be better students and better characters. And then we'd like to integrate it into our fast forward classes. And EDP and Officer Clark would also like to use it for his LREs, which is his education that he does in the classroom. So this is a program that's very commonly used across many schools that use Safe Schools, the grant. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I read over, it was neat how they had goal setting of, different things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Make a motion to approve it.
So I recommend approval of the second step curriculum at the junior high.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3.1, approval of resignations, retirements, and terminations.
We have one resignation this evening for your consideration. That's Mr. George Little as a maintenance worker. You'll notice that we approved him for employment last month, and some things have changed. So he requested or requested resignation. So I would recommend approval of resignations as presented.
I so move.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 3.2, approval of new hires.
We have the following individuals as new hires in the district. Jamie Wright is a teacher assistant at Whipple Ranch. Amanda Slade as a teacher assistant at Whipple Ranch, and Cheyenne Covert as a teacher assistant at the preschool. It's my recommendation that we approve these new hires as presented.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3.3, approval of certified and classified substitutes.
We're recommending the following certified substitutes: Mary Baird as a substitute K-12, Camilla McCarthy as a substitute K-12, and Jody Simmer as a substitute K-12. Also as a classified substitute, Sarah Marshall as a substitute bus driver, and Vivian Hale as a substitute bus driver. It's my recommendation that we approve these.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3.4, approval of stipends and volunteers.
We have a list of stipends for volunteers, stipend positions and volunteers here as we move in to some of our next sessions of sports. Amy Durant as a 7th grade girls basketball coach, Darcy Healy as an 8th grade girls basketball coach, Anthony James as a 7th grade boys basketball coach, Amberlyn Power as an 8th grade boys basketball coach. For fall sports, Randy Reisdorf, Dustin Clough, Monty Maxwell, Josh Francis, Trent Kime, Colby Maxwell, and Brian Maxwell. You'll notice those are 3 weeks, just the end of the football season there. As boys soccer, Chris Ellis, Bob O'Connell, Chuck Marsh. Those were 1 week there. As volunteers, Shane Healy, Alicia Jimenez, Brian Ryan, and Bruce Cooley. I recommend that we approve those positions and volunteers as presented.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, we don't have any policy matters, so 5.1, discussion on financial impact of Proposition 206.
So, as we all know, during the last election cycle, Proposition 206, which was the increase in the state minimum wage, was passed by the voters of the state of Arizona. What this is going to do for the district is, starting January 1st, we're going to have employees that we're going to have to move up to that minimum threshold of $10 an hour. Included in your packet, I have put together a listing of how that is going to affect employees going down the road. When all is said and done, once the minimum wage makes its way to $12 an hour, we're going to have 135 total employees that we're going to have to move to that minimum pay scale. And after that, going forward, we're going to have to do a minimum wage increase based on the cost of living index. So as to what the financial impacts of that is in 4 years, I really couldn't tell you. It's really going to depend solely on what the cost of living does. Starting January 1st, we're going to have 10 employees that we're going to have to move. That's going to cost the district right around $5,000. In July, we're going to have another group of employees, as well as that same group, that we're going to have to move to $10.50 per hour. And that's going to cost the district another $27,000. In July of 18, we're going to have 85 employees that we're going to have to move to $11 an hour. That'll cost the district another $84,000. That final year, when we have to move to the $12 an hour mark, again, we got the 130 plus employees, and that's going to cost the district right around $124,000 just to maintain the base minimum wage. So with the passing of that, I just wanted to kind of give the board an update as to how that's going to affect the district moving forward as far as the financial part of it goes. Also, part of Proposition 206 was a requirement that all part-time employees or all employees receive sick leave. We have an indifferentiated leave that we have. It's what we are using as sick leave, which does qualify for the program. The rulings, the way Proposition 206 is written is once an employee reaches 30 hours in a week, they are eligible for 1 hour of sick leave. This goes for all employees as well as substitute teachers or any substitutes that we may have. So any sub that works 30 hours in a week would be given 1 hour's worth of sick leave as well. So that is the impacts of Prop 206 to kind of give you an idea as to how that is going to affect the district. Stopping.
How's your printing press?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, John.
Anybody have any questions on that, John or Pam or? Righty.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schubert. Item 5.2, approval of updated salary schedules that include the increases from Proposition 206.
So in your packet, you have a copy of the current salary placement schedule as well as the proposed placement schedule. The positions that were below the $10 an hour threshold have been revised to $10 an hour and adjusted accordingly throughout the remainder of the schedule. Bringing this for your approval tonight. That way we can move forward with moving our employees to the new minimum wage requirement.
So you need a motion to approve that.
Yes, sir.
I so move.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Okay. Motion carries. Item 5.3, approval of increase of 10 employee rates of pay due to the increase of minimum wage from Proposition 206.
So in your packet as well, since we now have the approved salary schedule, we need to go ahead and approve contract revisions for 10 employees who are below the $10 an hour rate. We're requesting to move Meritess Bush from $9.51 to $10 an hour. These will all go to $10 an hour. But Rajette Fillingham from $9.59. Becky and Manuel Medina from $9.34. Joanne Moore from $9.93. Holly Palos from $9.38. Chad Powers from $9.59. Jamie Schuff from $9.66. Roseanne Towles from $9.93. And Maricela Verdugo de Ramirez from $9.82. We're asking for your approval for those contract revisions.
I so move.
I'll make a motion to approve increases for employees to the minimum base wage of $10 an hour. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6, consent agenda.
So on tonight's consent agenda, we're bringing before you for your approval tonight the ratification of our expense and payroll vouchers, the ratification of the junior high and high school activity revenues and expenditures, the authorization to transfer funds as requested by the administration, approval of updated clubs activity groups at Show Low Junior High and Show Low High School that may receive tax credit donations, approval of the governing board minutes for the regular meeting of November 10th, the special meeting on November 21st, and executive sessions on November 10th and November 21st. We'd also ask your approval of the following donation to Linden Elementary from Tristan Vogan. She donated 26 cents out of her own money to help the school. So with those, we're asking your approvals.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We need to go back to the superintendent report.
I overlooked one thing that I wanted to do during my superintendent report, so if we can take the time right before adjournment here to do that. December we've had our election in December. We've had, this is some of our board members last evening, in November, we recognized Mr. Brian Merrill for his service, and tonight we'd like to recognize Mr. Joy T. Pierce for his service on the school board. He served at an earlier time for several years, quite a few years as I understand, and his most recent stint of service has been for the last 4 years. So to honor your 4 years of dedicated service to the children of Show Low School District, as a governing board, we want to thank you and appreciate your service and present you with this plaque, Mr. Pierce.
Thank you.
Mr. Peters, as the board president, I want to thank you for all your years of service to the Show Low Unified School District.
Good, Joy. Add anything else? Okay, item 7, adjournment.
I so moved.
Vote.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.